Welcome to Beyond Synth Fundamentals. This week we're going to use amplitude modulation and pitch modulation, maybe some other tricks, and we're going to create a set of samples. We'll put those into the Digitact and then try to make something out of it. So right now we just have an initial patch. It's just a sine wave. Let's go for a really abrasive kick. So let's base it around a triangle wave and then add some pitch modulation. From an envelope, we'll do envelope. Let's do the second filter envelope. Now I'm adding some distortion. Then let's set our amp envelope. Let's make the whole thing last like maybe 3 seconds. I'm matching release and decay envelopes, and then zeroing out the sustain. Now we have a triangle wave and 2 octaves above it, a kind of shape-shifted sawtooth. Our filter is part of the way closed with very little resonance. We have a very quick decaying envelope controlling the pitch of the triangle wave, and then another envelope controlling our amplitude. I'm sure once we put this into the Digitact, we'll probably add more overdrive to it. But for now, this is the start of our kick. So now I'm using the same envelope that we're using for the pitch to also control the filter cutoff to kind of reinforce that transient. And I think that's about ready to sample. So now that we have the kick done, let's completely reset everything. Now we're just back at sine waves. Let's create a cymbal. Let's use 2 square waves and then add ring modulation. I'm actually going to change those to triangle waves and then use 2 sets. And then let's set our second oscillator to track imperfectly. So now each key has a different timbre. I like this one. Then let's high pass filter. Boosting the resonance on a fully open filter will just kind of accentuate that high end. All right, this sounds ready for sampling. Okay, now let's make a snare. Let's go for a really aggressive bit crush snare. So first let's initialize. We're back at sine waves. So let's use a filter envelope to control the pitch of that oscillator. Check that out. Okay, so now in oscillator 2, we have a wavetable, a really kind of distorted, grimy wavetable. And then we have it playing stepped, and it's cycling through the wavetable very fast. So now we have almost an audio rate modulation element in here. And now let's add an EQ and just put a shelf, just to take out that really low booming bass. Okay, so I think we're ready for sampling on this one too. Okay, so I have no idea what we're gonna make with these. So let's initialize. And let's try to make just kind of random sound effects now. I stumbled on something almost right away. So let's do filter envelope. It's almost a water drop sound. Okay, so I think we're ready for sampling. Okay, so let's do one more. Let's do like a huge chord. E minor 7. Or maybe even something more interesting. Let's do E minor 9. So this is just an E minor 9 with a sawtooth, a square, and a triangle, run through a lot of reverb. So let's sample that, and then we should be ready to go. Okay, so we got everything we need for now. Let's move over to the dig attack and see what we can make with it. Okay, so we're at the dig attack. I've been playing around with the samples, and I gotta tell you, these are great. So here is our kick. I added a little bit of processing, so I added overdrive, lots of reverb. In the reverb section, I high-pass filtered it, so the low end isn't reverberating, it's just the higher end. And then I added a one-shot LFO with kind of an exponential swoop down, and I applied that to sample tune, so it reinforces that transient. Pitched down, 9 semitones, added some overdrive, also added reverb, and then added delay. And then I also shortened the amplitude envelope so it's a little punchier. For the water droplet, just some amplitude shaping with the envelope, some delay, and then a little bit of overdrive. For that E flat minor 9 chord, a little amplitude shaping, lots of reverb, and then filter, we have a low pass filter with some resonance. That's about halfway closed, and then the LFO is sweeping that filter back and forth. So we have some movement. For our cymbal, I closed up the amplitude envelope. So now it's more of a hi-hat. And then I sequenced it in a way which extends the decay for certain hits. So we have an open and closed hi-hat. So let's just hear what that sounds like. I haven't done any like level balancing yet, so it might be kind of messy. That sounds kind of cool. So I'll make these samples available in the Patreon description. If you use them, tag me, message me, let me know. I want to see what you make with them. And that's really it. This has been Beyond Synth Fundamentals, exploring amplitude modulation, pitch modulation, and everything else.